This week, I want to talk about the curious case of an American, Matthew Aaron VanDyke, and 6 Ukrainian nationals who were caught from Kolkata, Lucknow, and Delhi on the way back from Myanmar, where they were apparently training ethnic groups in drone warfare. It's a story that's developing. We don't have all the details just yet, but when an American mercenary and Ukrainians are arrested in India for training ethnic insurgent groups, we have to pay attention. First, let me bring you up to speed with the facts of the case. The arrest of these foreign nationals happened last week, March 13th to be precise. 45-year-old VanDyke is from Baltimore and runs an organization called Sons of Liberty International, or SOLI. Now, on its website, the site says SOLI operates on a non-profit model to provide free security and military consulting and training to communities fighting terrorism, insurgency, and oppressive regimes. In other words, a textbook mercenary group. VanDyke's profile from his own site has him projecting himself as a multifaceted personality, a war correspondent, columnist, and international businessman, soldier and veteran of the Libyan revolution, and a former prisoner of war there. Now, what do the Americans have to say about VanDyke's arrest? For now, they're keeping quite mum. All that they've said is that they are aware of the situation, but cannot share details due to privacy rules related to US citizens. But the NIA claims that VanDyke and the 6 Ukrainians have been illegally using Indian tourist visas to not just move into Myanmar since 2024, but they were also involved in importing drones from Europe for this training and using Indian grounds to do that. So they're using the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act for charges of conspiracy, advocacy, abetment, or incitement to commit a terrorist act. The charge also includes moving into a restricted area like Mizoram without getting the special permits that's required for foreigners. Ukrainian embassy, meanwhile, has been far more vocal than the Americans, saying that while this is a crime, but at many places, the signs of restricted areas are just not visible enough. Thereby, one can move in there innocently instead of with ulterior motives like the NIA is alleging in this case. So if you're wondering why this arrest of people who were conducting drone training in Myanmar should be interest to you and me, here's why. First, we know that 14 people flew in and went into Mizoram via Guwahati, but only 7 have been arrested so far. So the hunt continues for the others. The arrested 7 have revealed lots of details about their operations, but they're all classified in court for now. Second, the NIA told the court that this group was moving around separately in India and then sliding into Myanmar via Mizoram has happened on more than one occasion. It begs the question of why our security agencies weren't able to catch them before, if they were operating at least for the last 2 years. Third and most obvious reason for us to be worried is that the ethnic groups VanDyke and company were training are also known supporters of some banned Indian insurgent groups. Manipur has been burning for the last few years, and this is the last thing that India needs. One security expert I spoke to said that this may not be a greater CIA plot like some suspect it to be. It was what it appeared, an international group selling drones to Myanmarese groups. Why are the Ukrainians involved? Because they have the drone technology proven in their war against Russia. VanDyke, they said, came across as the typical war junkie. Either way, this story isn't going away in a hurry. The last time foreign mercenaries were so much in the news was the Purulia arms drop case of the mid-90s. According to case records, the mercenary in that case was a former British Special Air Service officer, Peter Bleach, who along with Danish national Kim Davy was part of the group that flew a Latvian Antonov 26 aircraft to drop a large consignment of arms over a cluster of villages in Purulia district of West Bengal. Days later, the plane re-entered Indian airspace, and that was when it was intercepted by an Indian Air Force MiG-21 and then forced to land in Mumbai. There were many theories about who those arms, and they were substantial: 300 AK-47s, 10 rocket launchers, 100 anti-tank grenades, and more than 1 million rounds of ammunition. So there was a lot of speculation who they were meant for. One theory was that it was for this sect called Anand Marg, while another said that it was a government operation against the communists. Kim Davy also claimed that he was put up to this entire operation by the Indian government. The foreign governments were able to pressurize India into pardoning all the crew members, and Kim Davy went back to Denmark and was never extradited. Will this case prove to be as big as the Purulia arms drop case? We'll just have to wait and see.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.